Yo, to all my YouTube listeners, welcome. This is my first Harry Potter story. I hope to improve as I write, so hope you will be with me for long. Before we get started, I have a few disclaimers. 1. I don't own anything recognizable. They all belong to their owners. 2. I'm an amateur at this. So if there are any mistakes, it's because of that. Lastly, this is a trial. The stories will be continued if it gets a good response. So do like, share and subscribe if you like the story and tell me what you think in the comments. All the links to the current chapters, my Discord server and other links are in the description. So if you are interested in them, give it a go. Without any further ado, let's get started. Enjoy. Broken Shackles. Chapter 1. Freedom. It is the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to change, said a great man. When something is repeated so many times and reaches to a point where it cannot be ignored, people tend to accept them. Harry James Potter, the boy who lived, found himself in similar circumstances. I am in my second year of studies in a prestigious school named Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, which made me believe what people told me. And small changes began, unknown to me in my subconscious, as my mind began to take the full scope of things. Day after day, I was yelled at, accused of and harassed for being the heir of Slytherin. When the word of the Chamber of Secrets opening got out, and students and professors alike found me at the petrified spots before I can leave, and maybe because of the incredibly bad luck that seemed to haunt me for my entire life, I was repeatedly blamed for all the happenings, and when I vehemently denied them and asked professors for support and help, I didn't get any, but instead I was silenced and brushed off. Slowly but surely all my friends and acquaintances began distancing themselves from me in fear of the same treatment as me. I can't blame them, I guess. I was left alone with my two best and first friends, Ron and Hermione, midway through the year. But after another incident of petrification, Ron started accusing me and Hermione was not giving me much support. Her support till now helping me find the monster of Slytherin was stopped. As we began to disagree on some trivial things as we generally do. I heard small hums of music as if it was warning me of something, but I wrote it off as my weird imagination of my stressed mind. After some days Hermione herself was petrified and rumors started to get the wind. I was accused again, and this time, the cause was our disagreement about things. As I couldn't do anything, I just stood there alone, in the middle of the corridor staring into nothingness, after so many days of enduring all this harassment, blaming and spell casting and trying to find the monster of Slytherin without Hermione, I couldn't take it anymore. I reached my limit in both patience and people's ignorance. As I stood there, I heard about someone being dragged into the Chamber of Secrets from a passing person as they were shouting about the message and ran to the staff room. I heard Professor McGonagall say that Ginny Weasley, sister of my friend Ron Weasley, was the one dragged into the Chamber of Secrets. I also heard that they knew about the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets, which is in the girls' bathroom on the second floor. I ran to find Myrtle, the ghost that resides in that bathroom. I asked her about the circumstances of her death and she explained about seeing a pair of yellow eyes. I didn't think anything at that moment. I heard the same hum as a small musical note was played and looked around me, but didn't find anything and shrugged it off as a part of my adrenaline. Again, my only thought at that moment was to get rid of all the accusations that were made against me, and I'm going to do it, whatever it takes to make that happen. I saw a small snake carved into a tap and thought of something to open it and remembered about the time when I talked to a snake when Malfoy released it on me during a duel and related it to my and Hermione's research of creatures that could petrify and found about giant snakes that has that kind of ability. I hissed open in Parseltongue. It is a blind guess, but the sink sank in. Me being a Parselmouth is a blessing that I enjoyed at that moment. The sink opened outwards and a long slide was opened and it was dark inside. I jumped in without thinking anything and cast a cushioning charm before hitting the ground, which I was grateful for learning. I came to a halt when I saw so many skulls of animals of various shapes and forms. I also saw a green scaly skin which I could only assume to be snakeskin. I moved forward only to see a door with so many snakes on it. I hissed open again and it opened. I entered a large chamber. The chamber was covered with large snake statues and lit with green flames. I entered to see a small girl in the middle laying limply without any moment. I heard a clapping sound and turned to see a young man in his late teens in a Slytherin boy's uniform clapping at me. We had some conversations about things, which revealed some things to me. I learned that the guy in front of me was Tom Marvolo Riddle. He is the future Voldemort. He proved it by jumbling the letters with a wand in his hand. That revelation changed so many things for me. But I, Harry James Potter, didn't give up. Tom got annoyed at seeing me not giving up and called upon the snake which petrified the students, and that was the most shocking revelation to me till now. It is a basilisk. I didn't know it until Tom told me and explained how its gaze could cause instant death and if seen indirectly, it will cause petrification. That raised a question for me. Then why did he not die? Reading my thoughts, Tom replied by saying that the basilisk's gaze will not affect Parselmouths like themselves. I sighed in relief at that. I couldn't help but feel smug that I couldn't be harmed by the most dangerous creature in the wizarding world. But my smugness faded when Tom ordered the basilisk to attack me. I ran and hid behind a snake statue when it happened. Fawkes, Phoenix of Professor Dumbledore, came with the Sorting Hat. Tom mocked me for questioning my loyalties and the trust Dumbledore has in me, and how can a hat save me from a basilisk, only to be shocked as the phoenix pierced the eyes of the said basilisk, making it lose its sense of vision and making it depend on its other senses. Though the basilisk's other senses are not accurate as its eyes, it has pretty good senses as I was missed by a few inches as Tom ordered it to kill me at last. The sorting hat in my hand started to speak amidst all the chaos as if we are on a picnic. I told you that Slytherin is the best choice, where you will grow to greatness, Mr. Potter. But you vehemently asked me to put you in Gryffindor. Today you find yourself in a life and death situation because of those around you. If you have been in Slytherin, you would have been with people who are more like you, Mr. Potter, ambitious, cunning and intelligent. I didn't suggest you be in Slytherin because of your ambitions or smarts. Those are not my main reasons, but the main reason is you are a blood relative of Salazar Slytherin himself, Mr. Potter. Before his death, Salazar asked me to sort any of his family members to his house where they will be safe. He also explained some traits that will give me some clues to identify them. One such clue is green eyes and females of the family being named after flowers. He gave a dramatic pause to give Harry time to sink in the information. Your mother, Lily Evans, had both. When I sorted her, she didn't listen to me and just asked me to sort her to the best house, and due to the circumstances at that time, I sorted her into Gryffindor. Which is not the path I thought she would take. She is cunning and ambitious, Mr. Potter. Though a Muggle-born, she wanted to be the best in her class and reached all her goals with the cunningness and ambition perfect of a Slytherin. When you were sorted, I couldn't help but suggest Slytherin be best for you. But you wanted to be in Gryffindor. I couldn't just leave your opinion and chose to do as you wished, and you and I both know what happened in the past 2 years of you being in Gryffindor. I don't want to overwhelm you with information, Mr. Potter, as it is nor the time and place, but I'll give you some memories that I wish you to watch and remember after all this. Now take the sword that Gryffindor gave me to give to the person who wants to protect the school with a pure heart and fight the basilisk. May your choices help you shape into a better person, Mr. Potter, said the sorting hat, and a silver handle came out of the hat and Harry took it out and tightly gripped it in his hands. It was a sword made of pure silver, and its hilt is set with egg-sized rubies, the gemstone that is used to symbolize the House of Gryffindor at Hogwarts. The full name of Godric Gryffindor is also engraved just beneath the hilt. I felt a rush of magic from the sword as I catch it in my hands. I saw the basilisk coming down at me. It lunged at me and I straightened the sword in my hands and it pierced through the basilisk's head straight through its brain. With a loud wail, the basilisk body stopped its moment. I tried to lift the basilisk as it fell upon me. As its moment ceased and a fang lunged into me which made the basilisk venom enter my body, I immediately felt dizzy and my vision started to blur as the venom slowly started to spread throughout his body. Fawkes was trying to remove the basilisk atop of me with his strength, and his effort was slowly working when he lifted the basilisk inch by inch to the side. In the meantime, the basilisk venom in me started to spread. I slowly walked to Ginny and took the diary in her hand. As all this was going on, the venom in my body spread through my body, making me lose my mobility, and at its peak, it started its path to my brain. But before that, it reached my scar. There was that unbearable screeching sound again, as a black mass came off the scar on my forehead. Fawkes immediately came to my rescue and used his fire to burn the black thing. I lifted my head to check up on the thing to confirm it was completely burnt. After confirming that, Fawkes dove toward me. I opened my eyes one last time to see and say goodbye, only to see Fawkes crying into my wound where the fang was lodged into me. I can feel the pain numb, but I felt lightheaded and couldn't do anything and fell unconscious. The sorting hat, which is still there, observed this. Maybe healing his wound is not enough, Fawkes, he said to the phoenix, who trailed sadly, observing the same thing. They both saw me turn pale because of the slow spread of venom in my body. Fawkes got an idea and moved to my open mouth and cried into it. When the tears hit my tongue, they were instantly swallowed in. My body started to produce steam and all my wounds that occurred during the battle healed, including the lightning bolt scar, which faded for the most part, only staying as a thin line instead of a jagged line. I saw a green glow in my head but didn't know the meaning of it and don't have the time to think about it. The sorting hat observed everything. Fawkes took all of us up and carried us out of the chamber. For me, it is all different. I felt light, not like in case of losing consciousness like that light, no, I felt as if a great weight was lifted off my shoulders and am as light as a feather now. My body felt light, my vision felt clear, and my magic felt cleaner and more powerful than it used to be before. My magic used to be a small hum at the back of my mind when I use it, but now it feels like a continuous flow that is moving across my body at light speed waiting to be released, and it felt calm and controlled when compared to its erratic state before. I felt more clear, more powerful and happy, as if a dark thing was taken care of me. I don't know where that thought came from, but I felt as if a part of me was returned to me at that moment after a long time. All this happened in a fraction of a second and I saw Fawkes on my left shoulder, still crying into my mouth. I didn't know what the phoenix is doing but kept quiet. Soon I saw the results, and slowly all my wounds started to close, and as I gained consciousness, I saw Ginny seeing me, odd. I noticed the fang in my hand. I can feel my eyes drooping and heard the laughter of Tom. He mocked me about the venom and how I was about to die, but smiled at the result of what happened, and seeing Tom gone is just a bonus. I lost consciousness and felt like being lifted into the air and carried, but didn't concern myself with that. I felt at peace and slept without any worry for the first time in so many years. I heard the same hum, but this time, it is a happy note, as if saying to me, well done, now rest, and smiled at the note. I don't know the meaning of it or who played it, but I like it and that's all that mattered to me, and took note to investigate it after my recovery. This note is softer and more musical than that of Fawkes's general trills. This music is like a song that could bring happiness to the most distraught people. I felt much connected to the low musical note. I can still remember the green light in my head but couldn't make heads or tails about it. I happily slept without any care in the world, enjoying the hum of music I could hear, shoving everything to the back of my head to deal with it later. Scene break. Hospital wing, 3 days later. As Harry reminisced all his memories, it took his body 3 days to recover from his exhaustion, and he felt relieved of something dark which can be seen on his face as it glowed brightly and his eyes has a shine to them. He woke up groggily, rubbing his eyes of their sourness. He felt as if a great burden was lifted from his shoulders and felt at peace. He looked up to see a white ceiling of the hospital wing and sighed at the upcoming meeting with Madame Pomfrey. As if summoned, he heard her office door unlock and the woman in question strolled into the hospital wing. "Good morning, Mr. Potter. I hope you have a good sleep," said Madame Pomfrey, in a stern tone. To which he nodded, and she proceeded to check him up for any abnormalities and moved her wand in different ways and nodded to herself, satisfied. "I don't know what happened to you, Mr. Potter, but you have recovered from severe magic exhaustion, and I found something in your body which can't be unidentified, but it is not harming you, so I left it be. I'm telling you again, you have suffered severe magical exhaustion, absorption and change, Mr. Potter. I can't understand what seems to cause this, but your magic seems to be cleaner and calmer and controlled than any time I have tested you before, which is a good sign, and I hope you don't get yourself into anything more dangerous," she said, giving him a look. "You are free to leave for breakfast, Mr. Potter," she said, confused in the beginning and shrugged it off as one of his trips in the end, and nodded to him and walked to other patients to check over them. Harry nodded to her and sat on his bed and thought about what the Sorting Hat told him. He searched for those memories and found them in a deeper part of his mind after a small search. He could hear the hum, soothing him as if it knows what he was about to experience. He closed his eyes and tapped into those memories. "To my descendants. I, Salazar Slytherin, am regretful to inform you that I have tainted the name of the noble house of Slytherin by my actions during my life. I saw the deaths of my loved ones and killed those who took them away from me. But I didn't enjoy even a bit of it, but my promise to my daughter to take revenge for her kept me going, and today, I declare that I fulfilled that promise." Harry was shocked to see the great Salazar Slytherin himself in such a state. He is really regretting what he had done. Harry can deduct that much from the memories that were played in his mind. "I gave my grandson to the mundane who doesn't have children and instructed them to name all of the girls after flowers as a remembrance to my late daughter, Lily. I am happy with my decision about this and hope you can find it in your heart to forgive this old man, my heir." At this, Harry was given another shock. "Me, his heir?" was the dominant thought, but he suppressed his urges and continued. "I know that after me, the line of Slytherin will go extinct as the whereabouts of my grandson are not known to the magical world. I am ready for any punishment I may face for my acts in the afterlife, but remember that those of Slytherin name do not fall for cheap tricks that people may play around them and are cunning and ambitious. I hope you will imbibe these traits as a true Slytherin rather than those who were sorted into the house by the Sorting Hat, Griff. Griff was given all these memories so that he can, one day, give these to my true heir, who will bring the name Slytherin back to its former glory. For that purpose, all the knowledge I have accumulated in all my time and books which I have attained from numerous great writers across the world in my endeavors are secured in a secret room in the Chamber of Secrets. This can only be accessed by my blood descendants and not by anyone who may claim my name or ancestry. I have a blood ward that will take the blood of my heir and allow access. To those who are not my blood descendant, they won't even know it exists. I hope you can remove the taint that will definitely fall upon the Slytherin name in the years to come. I have a basilisk, Saka, guarding the room so that someone who by mistake enters the chamber will be afraid of her and don't try again. I have kept her there for not only guarding purposes but also as additional protection to school if any calamities were to happen. I love all the students who have come to the walls of Hogwarts for education and protection. If you have time, tend to her needs. In any circumstance, if she was to attack my descendants, I made a ward that will kill her from inside without damaging anything. If the situation comes to this, I advise eating the remains of her. This may seem cruel, but it is for your benefit, my heir. The remains of the basilisk defeated in a battle when you are a Parselmouth will be seen as a rite of conquest and are beneficial. You will gain some benefits which will be beneficial to you in your endeavors. If you eat just any part of her, the ritual will work and you can use the remains for different rituals I have amassed in the library in the chamber. You have my blessings and my best wishes in the endeavors to come, my heir. Sincerely, your ancestor, Salazar Slytherin. Harry rewatched it again and again. He can't believe that Salazar Slytherin, the man who was portrayed as a Muggle hater and pure-blood supremacist, is very emotional and sad to say those words. In his words, it can be understood that he is regretful of his actions and hoped to rectify them by giving his all to save his students and his descendants. He willingly gave his grandson to Muggles to be raised, which, as Harry thought, is so Slytherin of him to do. To give your heir to Muggles, whom the people claim you to be cruel toward and call an outright Muggle hater. He laughed sadly at the stupidity of the wizarding world and their beliefs and the cunning move of his ancestor and how easily he fooled them. He heard a musical note again, which lifted his mood significantly. He wanted to check on the chamber again when he have some time. He opened the Marauder's map that Fred and George gave him during his Heir of Slytherin time to keep safe. He saw Dumbledore coming towards the hospital wing and immediately fell asleep. He didn't want to face the twinkling headmaster now. Dumbledore entered the hospital wing and came straight towards his bed. "Ah, I know you are awake, Mr. Potter. Poppy told me about your recovery. I'm just here to check on you." "How are you feeling, Harry, my boy?" he said knowingly with the eternal twinkle and with the kind grandfatherly smile without giving Harry time to speak. Harry thought about that twinkle which annoyed him, when Dumbledore spoke about something, he does with that annoying twinkle and as if everything in the world was all right. He wanted to know about the bloody twinkle and use it on the annoying old man to take revenge for using it on him. He just stared at him blankly without giving any answer and felt a small headache. He didn't know the reason, but it felt as if something is disturbing the newly acquired peace in his head and rubbed it and turned away from the old headmaster. He didn't feel anything and turned back and stared at his long beard and answered, "I'm feeling fine, headmaster. Thank you for coming to check on me," he replied smoothly and politely. Dumbledore raised an eyebrow at his behavior but nodded nonetheless. "We have found about your heroic performance in the Chamber of Secrets from Ms. Weasley. The school board and the teachers' panel have decided to award you a Special Services Award for your actions in keeping the school and her children safe, Mr. Potter. I hope you will accept it," he said with that annoying twinkle in his eyes again with a kind smile. Harry gave him a small nod but inside, he was relieved of the fact that everything he had done would not come out, which included his heritage, and that none of his actions got out, as well as his conversation with the Sorting Hat can't be heard, and Ginny only heard the death of Basilisk and Fawkes healing him as she was unconscious for the most of his fight with Tom. He mentally made visiting the chamber his priority and missed the rest of Dumbledore's speech. "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear you," he said sheepishly, rubbing his head. "I said you were given the rest of the week off and will be receiving your award at the year-end feast," Dumbledore said patiently. Harry nodded and with goodbyes, he left the hospital wing. Harry thought about what Salazar had said and his thinking was cut short when he heard a pop and looked to see Dobby in front of him with his eyes wide as dinner plates looking at him apologetically. "I have warned you of the danger in Hogwarts, great Harry Potter, sir," said Dobby with his eyes widening and his ears flapping. "Don't worry about it now, Dobby." "Tell me, who is your master?" asked Harry, curious about his answer. "Dobby's master, you ask, great Harry Potter, sir. Dobby's master is Master Lucius Malfoy." "Lucius Malfoy, huh? I saw him keeping the diary in Ginny's cauldron when we met in Diagon Alley." "Well, what do you say, if I meet your master, Dobby?" he asked. The elf's eyes widened and before he could reply he vanished in another pop. Harry sighed and readied himself and went to Great Hall for breakfast. He was sure that as it was past 9, everyone will be in classes so that he could have his breakfast in peace at least once. It went as he thought and he had a free breakfast without any interruptions. As he was walking to his room in Gryffindor Tower, he was stopped by Professor Flitwick. "The headmaster wants to see you in his office, Mr. Potter," he said hurriedly. Harry didn't have time to give him any answer as the man was moving fastly and followed the diminutive man to catch up. "We at Ravenclaw are thankful for your efforts in defeating the Basilisk, Mr. Potter. I personally express my thanks to you. We are grateful that you killed it before it could cause any further harm," he said cheerfully with a smile. Not that Harry knew Flitwick well, but didn't deny it and accepted his thanks. They reached Dumbledore's office in silence and Flitwick gestured him inside after saying the password to the gargoyle. He left Harry. Harry entered to see Dumbledore sitting in his throne-like chair and gestured him in. Just as he entered, a blond man came in with Dobby in tow. "Dumbledore," he said curtly and nodded, to which Dumbledore replied with a Lucius and nodded in the same way. "So you have been back as headmaster, I see," Lucius said with a sneer but controlled his expression to that of a distaste. "So it seems, Lucius. The Board of Governors believe that my return is required to deal with the matter and they reappointed me. That also told me about your threat to them," he replied calmly. "What? Me no. I did no such thing. And what of the culprit of this incident? Are they found?" "Yes, Lucius. It is not surprisingly, Voldemort again. But this time he did it using this dairy," he said and moved a black dairy towards Lucius. His eyes widened for a second but he composed himself. "How did this happen? Is someone outside responsible for this?" "As a governor of the board, I have students' best interests in mind," said Lucius. "Yes, Lucius. The culprit is found and will be punished harshly for endangering the whole school." Dumbledore said this with a pointed look at Lucius, who didn't relent and flared his nostrils in anger. "The culprit is found by the best efforts of Mr. Potter here. He bravely fought Lord Voldemort or his shade, risking his life. The board and the staff have decided to give an award for special services, Lucius. I hope you can appreciate his efforts," he said in a calm tone as if talking about the weather while Lucius seethed in anger. Meanwhile, Dobby is pulling Harry's sleeve and gesturing toward Lucius, to which Harry nodded in reply. "Yes, I appreciate Mr. Potter's efforts and think the award is a good thing to appreciate his efforts." "Congratulations, Mr. Potter," he said, giving Harry a small nod, to which Harry didn't reply. "Oh, Lucius the First forgot to give you this," said Dumbledore and took a piece of parchment. He gave it to Lucius, whose eyes widened in shock and were masked by fury. "That is your removal letter from the Hogwarts Board of Governors. I think they didn't like you much, Lucius. I hope you have a nice day, Lucius," he said cheerfully with a twinkle in his eyes. Lucius looked outraged but didn't say anything and called Dobby and kicked him and left Dumbledore's office, closing the door loudly. Harry smirked at Lucius and put his plan into motion. He asked Dumbledore and took the diary from him and followed Lucius. "Excuse me, Mr. Malfoy. I think you forgot this," he said, gesturing towards the diary, and smirked. "What are you talking about, boy? This doesn't belong to me." Lucius denied the accusation. "Don't act, Malfoy. I saw you putting this diary in Ginny's cauldron in Diagon Alley. I didn't think much about it then. But after you put all the school in danger, I can't help but think about you. You disgust me, Malfoy, spat Harry. Lucius looked outraged at this. Who do you think you are talking to, Potter? Do you think you can accuse me of something like this? You poor thing. I think you are out of your mind, Potter. I can escape without any mark of it on me. But don't think this to be the end, Potter. The Dark Lord may have failed to kill you on that day, but he will kill you when he returns, or I'll kill you myself if you act in the same way, exclaimed Lucius in outrage. Harry smirked at that word. You, Lucius Malfoy, a lackey of Voldemort, the Dark Lord, maybe the worst of all of them, will kill me, Harry James Potter, the boy who lived and the defeater of the Dark Lord and the survivor of the killing curse. Harry laughed at Lucius's words, whose face turned purple in rage. Say whatever you want, Malfoy, but remember this, next time you put me in danger, it is going to be the last time you are going to breathe, Harry said, a dark smile adorning his face, making Lucius step back in fear. Do not test my patience and take this as your last warning. I'm not as kind as people portray me. If you try. Harry let the threat hang in the air and shoved the diary into Lucius's hands, who took it and gave it to Dobby in shock. Dobby dutifully took it and opened it when he saw Harry gesture for him to open it. Master gave Dobby clothes, he said, amazed at the single piece of sock in the book. This managed to bring Lucius back to the present. What are you talking, you stupid elf? He turned to see a sock in his hand which is in the book. He saw Harry smirking at him victoriously. He took his wand to curse the boy. Why you? You will not harm the great wizard Harry Potter, sir, said Dobby, standing in front of Harry, stretching his arms protectively. Lucius fired a bone breaker at Harry, which Dobby deflected the spell with a snap of his fingers. Lucius was thrown out of balance and hit the wall with a sickening crash. He groaned in pain and stood up quickly and sheathed his wand in his walking stick and walked away, giving one last murderous glare to Harry, who was still smirking at him. Great Harry Potter, sir, freed Dobby. What can Dobby do to repay great Harry Potter, sir? Dobby asked excitedly. Harry smiled at the elf. Dobby, will you be my house elf? Harry asked, extending his hand to the overenthusiastic elf. Dobby's eyes widened comically and he nodded frantically. Harry thought that his eyes would pop at the speed of his nodding. They formed the bond of master and elf, which is represented by the golden glow of light between them as the magic took effect. What can Dobby do for great Master Harry Potter, sir? Call me Harry Potter or Master Harry simply. I don't want to have such long names, Dobby, he said to the elf, who nodded as if he had heard the secret of the world. Master Harry, Dobby likes the name. Now, Dobby, I want you to go to Dumbledore and ask for a job as a Hogwarts elf and work here in Hogwarts. I'll call you when there is a need. Until then, act as if you are a Hogwarts elf and don't tell anyone about our bond. Is that understood? Harry said, giving Dobby a critical eye. Dobby nodded, taking everything in without any questions. Master Harry is a great wizard, to think of such a plan. Dobby is fortunate to have great Master Harry as his master, he said, crying and jumping in joy. Dobby, call me Harry Potter or anything but not master in front of others, he said, and Dobby nodded. With another bye, Dobby and Harry separated and Dobby got a job as a Hogwarts elf and Harry returned to his room. And cut. That's it for this chapter, folks. Tell me what you feel about the chapter in the comments. Join my server, or if you want the current chapters, the links are in the description. Any suggestions are welcome. Black Infinity 1289, Jonna.